Hello, myself Dr. Prashant Malpure, Associate Professor, Department of Pharmaceutics, Matosri College of Pharmacy, Eklare, Nasik. Today we are going to learn about the topic pre-formulation studies. Content of this pre-formulation studies: introduction to pre-formulation, concept of pre-formulation, goals and objectives of pre-formulations, then various study of physicochemical characteristics of drug substances, in which physical properties, first that is physical form, crystal and amorphous, then second particle size, third particle shape, then flow properties, solubility profile, in which we are going to study about the pK value, pH and partition coefficient, and polymorphism. Then there are various chemical properties also are going to study, that is hydrolysis, oxidation, reduction, racemization, polymerization, then basis classification of drug and its significant. Then there are various applications of pre-formulation consideration in the development of solid, liquid, oral and parenteral dosage form and its impact on stability of dosage form. Now, learning objectives. Upon completion of the topic, the learner should be able to generate useful data needed in developing stable and safe dosage forms that can be manufactured on a commercial scale. Then second objective, to provide in-depth knowledge and understanding of the physical characteristics of a candidate drug molecule prior to dosage form development. Third learning objective, that is conceptualize pre-formulation testing. Fourth learning objective, that is the learner should be able to discuss the biopharmaceutical principles in dosage form design, then construct pre-formulation testing procedures, and the last learning objective is that to discuss the various factors that influences drug stability in a various dosage form. Now we are moving towards the first topic, that is introduction. So in that introduction, the discovering and developing new medicine, which is a long, complex and expensive process, and the failure rate which is very high during this process. So to minimize attritions, it is essential therefore to understand the physicochemical characteristics of compound or biological entities that are candidates for development into final products. At various stages during the development of a new medical product, the candidate drug must be formulated into a dosage form that is appropriate for the intended study. Here we'll see one example, that is for example in vitro screening using chemical, physicochemical or biological assay, then preclinical in vitro laboratory safety test, as well as in vivo efficacy and safety studies which are relevant to different animal species. First in human studies to determine the optimum drug to progress into clinical development. Initial volunteer, or we can say that the patients who studies and full scale clinical trials. Now here in the diagram we are going to see that is the early stage pre-formulation studies. So in that the first step in that drug discovery is the target identification. Once that target get identified, we have to confirm that target. Then third step, that is hit. Then hit to lead and lead optimization. Means that after confirming that target, we have to hit on the target on a specific uh, subject. Okay. So pre-formulation studies here to choose preferred compound from a formulation, or we can say that the manufacturing perspective. Now the here pre-formulation studies at various stages of development. So in that first stage, that is the preclinical studies. Then in that preclinical studies, which is a pre-formulation studies to determine best formulation for animal studies, that is the first stage. Then second, that is a volunteer studies. In that, after once that studies get confirmed on the animals, it should be performed on volunteers. That's why it is called as a volunteer study. Then after that, it is referred as a third stage, that is phase 2 clinical studies. So means pre-formulation studies to determine best clinical trial formulations. After phase 2 completion, there is an next process, that is phase 3 clinical studies, in which the pre-formulation studies for final formulation and manufacturing. And the last, that is the scale up for launching the product. Now in that case, the nature and composition of the formulation will be different for each stage for development, but the formulation which is chosen for full scale clinical trials must, as far as possible, be the same as the product that is intended for marketing. Otherwise, extensive clinical comparative trials may be required to demonstrate the similarity between the formulation which is used in the clinical trials and the proposed for subsequent marketing. To ensure that the various formulations are optimized for their intended use. So, the pre-formulation studies should be conducted not only to evaluate the characteristics of candidate drugs but also potential formulation excipients and their interactions with drug substances in order to select appropriate formulation ingredient. In addition, pre-formulation studies should assess the effect of possible conditions of preparation, manufacture and storage on stability. So, as it gives confidence that a reliable assessment of the candidate drug has been performed during development and in regular, or we can say that the post marketing use. Data acquired for pre-formulation studies also forms an important basis for understanding the potential pharmacokinetics of a drug in human and animals. In addition, as the chosen product is scaled up in manufacture and further process development which is carried out. For example, to use alternative equipment or technologies, pre-formulation data can be useful source of information to understand the opportunities for the limitations to process change. Furthermore, a number of characteristics measured in pre-formulation studies can be used to predict the stability of the formulation during manufacturing, as well as the transportation of that and storage, so as to determine the shelf life, we can say that is the expiry of the marketed product. So pre-formulation studies can therefore be defined as laboratory studies to determine the characteristics of active substance and excipients that may influence formulation and process design as well as the performance. That's why it has been described as learning before doing. Next, that is the concept of pre-formulation. Now, almost all new drugs are marketed as tablets, capsules, or both, although only a few marketed as an injection, that is near about 25% of those marketed as a tablets. So, the intravenous route is always required during early toxicity, metabolic bioavailability, and clinical studies to provide a precise drug and dose deposition. Other dosage form may be required, but these are drug specific and depend to a large extent on the successful development of tablets, capsules, and injections. Prior to the development of these three major dosage forms, it is essential that certain fundamental physical and chemical properties of the drug molecules and other derived properties of the drug powder are determined. This formulation information dictates many of the subsequent events and the approaches in formulation development. So this first learning phase is known as a pre-formulation. So there is an recommended list of the information which is required in pre-formulation studies. So first, that is the this is assembled, or we can say that the recognize the relative importance and probable existence of only limited quantities of new bulk drugs. So investigators must be pragmatic and generate data of immediate relevance, especially if the likely dosage forms are known. So there are various pre-formulation drug characteristics. In that, the first, that is the spectroscopy, which for that spectroscopy the method or characterization which can be used, that is a simple UV assay. Then second, solubility. In that solubility, various phenomena like aqueous solubility, pK, which is also referred as a dissociation constant, salts, solvents, partition coefficient, and dissolutions. So for solubility, there is an phase solubility, or we can say that the purity study is there. For aqueous, it is intrinsic solubility or effect of pH can be studied. Then for dissociation constant, the solubility control, or we can say that the salt formation can be studied. Then for salts, solubility, hygroscopy, as well as the stability is the characteristics. Then for solvents, the vehicles which are used and different extraction procedures. From that, the different solvents can be prepared, or we can say that the formulated. Then partition coefficient, which containing the lipophilicity as well as the structure activity. And the last parameter in solubility, that is the dissolution, which the method which is used for the determination of dissolution is a biopharmacy. Then second test, that is melting point. In that melting point, differential scanning colorimetry, then polymorphism, then study of hydrates, study of solvents can be studied over there. Then assay development. In the assay development, that is study of UV, TLC, HPLC is there. Then next test, that is the stability in solution and solid state, which required the thermal analysis, hydrolysis, oxidation, photolysis, metal ions, and pH. Then next test, that is the microscopy. In that, the method can be used, that is morphology or particle size determination can be studied there. Then powder flow, that containing bulk density and angle of repose. So which is required for tablet and capsule formulation. That is the function of that powder flow. Then compression properties, these are also a function of tablet and capsule formulations. And last one, that is the excipient compatibility, is a excipient's choice. So there are two fundamental properties which are mandatory for a new compound, that is intrinsic solubility and dissociation constant, that is pKa. Then independent of this pharmaceutical profiling which we seen, that analyst will generate data, that is the after that pharmaceutical profiling, analytical confirmation or analytical pre-formulation study which required to confirm the structure as well as the purity, and this should be used to complement and confirm pharmaceutical data. So their greater training and knowledge in analysis will assist in the identification of suitable stability indicating assays by higher performance liquid chromatography. That is, we can say that is a HPLC. So there are different tests, we can say that attributes, and with respect to that attributes number of tests can be performed. So the first attribute here we are going to see that is a identity. In that identity, the identity of that drug regimen can be determined with the help of nuclear magnetic resonance, infrared spectroscopy, thin layer chromatography, differential scanning colorimetry, optical rotation where applicable. Then second attribute that is studied for purity. In the purity, moisture content, that is for water as well as for solvent. Then inorganic elements, heavy metals, organic impurities, differential scanning colorimetry can be studied. Then for third attribute that is assay, there are different titrations, ultraviolet spectroscopy, high performance liquid chromatography can be used. And the last one that is the quality. In the quality, the appearance of that drug regimen, odor, then solution, color, pH of slurry when saturated solution is prepared, and the last one that is the melting point that can be studied. The next goal of pre-formulation studies. So the first goal that is to establish the physicochemical parameters of a candidate drug molecule. Then to determine the kinetic rate profile of drug substances, to establish the compatibility of a candidate drug molecule with common excipients. Number 4, that is to establish its physical characteristics. And last one, to providing a scientific data to support the dosage form, design and evaluation of the product efficacy and stability. Then the next point that is the objectives of pre-formulation studies. In the objectives, first objective is to generate useful data which is needed in developing stable and safe dosage form that can be manufactured on a commercial scale. Then second objective, to provide in-depth knowledge and understanding of the physical characteristics of a candidate drug molecule prior to dosage form development. And third and last objective of pre-formulation study is to generate useful information on how to design a drug delivery system with good bioavailability. Then there are different evaluation parameters which are studied for pre-formulation studies. In that, physical properties and chemical properties. So first we will study in detail about the physical properties. So in physical properties, first we will see about the crystalline solids. So these crystalline solids, these are the most common type of solids. Their characteristics are what we associated with it. They are firm, hold a definite and fixed shape, rigid and incompressible. They generally have a geometric shapes and flat faces. And example includes diamond, metal, different salts. So here to understand crystals, we must understand their structure. So the arrangement of particles in a crystalline solid is in a very orderly fashion. These articles are arranged in a repeating pattern of a three-dimensional network. That is a 3D pattern. So this network is known as crystal lattice. And the smallest unit of each and every crystal is called as a unit cell. If we see the X-ray of the crystal, so this distinct arrangement of the unit cells will be clearly visible. The spaces between the atoms are very less due to high intermolecular forces. This results in crystals having high melting as well as the boiling points. The intermolecular forces is also uniform throughout the structure. Crystals have a long range order, which means the arrangement of atoms is repeated over a great distance. So here the diagram shows the crystalline forms which are in regular pattern. Then second, amorphous solids. Amorphous solids are rigid structure, but they lack a well defined shape. They do not have a geometric shape. So they are non crystalline. This is why they do not have edges like crystals. The most common example of an amorphous solid is glass. Gels, plastics, various polymers, wax, thin films are also good examples of amorphous solids. This variation in characteristics of solids occurs due to the arrangement of their molecules. Here, the particles of matter do not form the three-dimensional lattice structure that we see in solids. Some naturally occurring amorphous solids have impurities that prevent such a structure from forming. So, they have a short order arrangement of molecules. Amorphous solids break into uneven pieces with irregular edges, and they do not have any distinct arrangement or shape of molecules. So, they cannot be identified by their structure as crystals. Then third physical property, here we are going to see, that is a particle size. Particle size, which greatly affects a number of quality parameters like dissolution rate, solubility, bioavailability, content uniformity, and lack of grittiness. Applications of particle size study during pre-formulation stage is most important. So, when solubility is major issue, one may significantly improve the solubility by reducing the particle size. How we can increase the reduce the particle size? By simply increasing surface area. In case of suspension, particle size is the most important parameter which determines the stability and quality of formulation. Too much reduction in the particle size, which leads to generation of charged particles and hence unstable system. On the other hand, larger particle size leads to caking. Due to non-uniform particle size distribution, there is significant risk which is associated with content uniformity in case of potent formulations. So there are number of methods which are available to determine particle size. First, that is the microscopy, sedimentation rate, Coulter-Counter method, and last, that is the surface area which is determined by nitrogen adsorption method. Next, particle shape. Apart from particle size, particle shape plays an important role during pre-formulation phase, as the shape of particles may influence the surface area, flow properties, and compaction force. A drug particle may exist in different forms like spherical, angular, acicular, needle, oval, or rough. It is a well accepted fact that a spherical particle has the maximum area and uniform flow property. The maximum surface area ensures the better solubility. For topical products that are working as abrasives, irregular particle shape, which is more preferred. Then next and most important physical property, that is a flow properties. So that flow property of material which can be affected by a number of factors including frictional force, surface tension force, electrical forces and van der Waals forces. So efficient flow of drug substance powder which is needed for effective tablet formulation. Main reason behind inclusion of this parameter in pre-formulation is its linkage with other physical parameters like hygroscopicity and particle size as well as the shape of particles. Importance of flow property is even more when dose loading is more. So here the where see the correlation between relative humidity, moisture uptake at different humidity levels. So relative humidity which shows in percentage, moisture uptake is also in percentage and flowability of the material. So if that relative humidity is 1%, at that time the moisture uptake is 0.30%. So the flowability of the material is a free flowing in nature. If relative humidity becomes increases and up to it is 10%, moisture uptake at the same time get decreases, that is 0.24%. Then also the flowability of the material is free flowing. But if the relative humidity increases by 20%, then the moisture uptake slightly increases, that is 0.27%. So the flowability becomes less free flowing. Relative humidity 40%, at the same time the moisture uptake is 0.35%. So base of powder get adheres to the container, so it cannot flow properly. And if the relative humidity is 80%, at the same time the moisture uptake becomes 0.62%. So there is an formation of a cake. That means not a single particle can be flow. In case of hygroscopic material, flow property of drug tends to deteriorate at the presence of absorbed moisture increases cohesiveness. So irregular particles size and non-uniform shape can also disturb normal flow property of drug. Normally, flow property of solid drug substances can be measured by Hausner's ratio and Carr's index as well as the angle of repose. And in case of liquids or semi-solids, rheology and thixotropy study can be there. So Carr's complexibility index can be represented by the formula, that is tap density minus bulk density divided by tap density multiplied by 100, and Hausner's ratio can be calculated by the ratio of tap density as to bulk density. Thank you.